Hi. So earlier I made a video about how I channel for clients, and that video was really coming from a place of wanting to explain that this is not just traditional psychotherapy. This has an element of something, unique to it. But man, as I was like contemplating what I had discussed, I just wanted to share that channeling is nothing unique. So, channeling is something that we all do all the time. We're all channeling frequencies. It's just what frequency are we channeling? And so, a lot of the work that I do with clients is about getting used to being your own channel for higher self or higher guidance, or at least a little closer to how the higher self views things. Um, and the way that I do that, or the way that this coaching works, is the same sort of practice that I do myself in order to channel during a session. And that's always reading our emotional cues through the emotional body. Because we can feel the perception of, or we can feel the feeling, the vibration of the perception that we're having. So if it feels like tension, if it feels like, anything besides release, relaxation, and joy, really, then we know there's an element of it not being 100% true. Now, what's interesting about this is that just because we're having a feeling and we know that that feeling is not in alignment doesn't mean that we should shut that feeling down. It doesn't mean that we should bypass that feeling or that we're failing at being spiritual because we're having an emotion. That emotion, actually, the way that we're going to transmute that and integrate that in the best way is by allowing ourselves to actually feel that emotion. Oh my goodness, there's so much information here when it comes to so much work that I do with clients is especially just accepting what's arising within us, because the fastest way that we're going to be able to evolve, if you will, or grow spiritually is actually allowing all of our perceptions to come to the forefront so that we can look at them. And sometimes they do that and they grab our attention by ringing that alarm bell of emotionality, ringing that bell of anxiety or trigger or frustration or anger. And those emotions are there to help us. Oh my goodness, those emotions are our friends. We want them. We created them that way. They're not something that we want to dumb down or medicate or dull in any way, because they are our guidance system. They're something that are put in place there for a reason. So what's interesting, a lot of times what causes us suffering when we're feeling these strong emotions is not the emotion itself, it's actually our perception of the emotion. So when we're in strong resistance to the emotion, or we're viewing it as with fear, right? Like we're afraid of or condemnation for what's arising within us, that's when it actually adds this element of like feeling like suffering. When we just settle in and accept the emotion that is arising, that's how it just takes on a slightly different hue. Sure, maybe it's not pure joy, but it's gentler. And emotion, it's not our job to like stop emotions or make them go away. Emotions leave us when they're done with us, when they've served their purpose. So a lot of times I would say all the time, those emotions that we're feeling, when we allow space for them, they guide us to our out of alignment perceptions. And that's by just being willing to question, or just being willing to get curious over what we are experiencing in this moment, what is coming up, and maybe see, well, how could this be out of alignment? What's going on here? How am I perceiving this that is not helpful to my path? However, that's a paradox, because it's always so helpful. Everything's helpful. Everything's perfect. Because just by seeing how we're using things in ways that are out of alignment, that's actually helpful. So it's all good in the hood is basically the the message that's coming through right now. But okay, so as we get into practice of paying attention to the emotional body and falling further and further into alignment, that's actually how we become our channel for higher self. Because when we pay attention, we start to feel the energy of the higher perception. We start to feel and get used to what that feels like, and we can start to recognize it, so that when those perceptions, when those experiences, thought forms, whatever it is, greet us, we are able to recognize that. And so basically that's what happens on the phone with me when I'm talking with clients, is that there's an element of tuning in, right? There's an element of being willing to draw in that information, being willing to draw in, downloads that are relevant for people, and just being open to that, and then sensing energetically the energy of the information itself. So if I'm having an off day, if I'm feeling too emotional or going through my own process, I will cancel, because in order to be that clear channel, I have to have an element of clarity to me already. And there's also times where I can sense my own personal emotions or biases that come to the table. Like, let's say a client is going through something that's very similar to what I am processing in the moment. Sometimes I'll feel my own triggers come to the surface, and those are times when I know that that's not the energy I want to bring to the table. That's where I can settle deeper into myself. So this is a really awesome process, is basically what I'm getting to. It's been a years of study to get to know, how that operates and how that works. But it's not that it's special to me, which I'm sure if you're listening to this and you are incorporated with the spiritual path, or if you have been studying spirituality, you know this as well. It's not special. Everyone's doing this all day long. It's just how are we using it, right? Like, how are we using our emotions? How are we using our channel? And the work that I do, the coaching that I do, is really helping clients to use that channel to start channeling higher self. All right, well, now I feel complete, now that I got that out. Thanks for listening. And if you are interested in finding out what a spiritual alignment session feels like or works like, please reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook at Angela Rose Young. You can find me on Instagram, New Paradigm Parenting. And or go ahead and check out my website also, which is angelaroseyoung.com, and there's a way to contact me there as well, and I would be so happy to channel some downloads for you. Thank you. Bye.